Today I'm flying from Bangkok to Hong Kong on a Cathay Pacific Airbus A330. This plane is definitely on the more dated side and features the oldest cabin in Cathay's fleet, but hopefully in this video you'll see why even when you're not on their most modern plane, Cathay Pacific still offer a very solid experience. I started off my journey by taking the airport train from the centre of Bangkok to Suvarnabhumi airport, which is quick and only cost me 15 Thai baht, or about 35 British pence. The airport itself is massive and somewhat overcrowded, and this is actually my first time flying out of this airport, so I can't say I'm that familiar with it, but my overall impression is that it's just fine. The Cathay check-in area is in the S zone, and 2 hours before departure there was barely any queue and the check-in was very quick. Quite impressive as Cathay operate about 7 flights a day from this airport, mostly on massive aircraft like the Boeing 777 or Airbus A330 I was on today. Airport security though was pretty slow as they seemed to be doing a secondary inspection on almost everyone, me included, but I'm pretty sure that was because I had a big cake and some fruit in my bag, so it was probably my own fault. Once through to the departure zone there are loads of shops and restaurants and these cute little cleaning robots. But the whole place is laid out in a few long thin corridors, absolutely crammed with people, and it's a big building so walking anywhere takes a while. One cool thing I noticed though, which I haven't seen at other airports, is the departure board, which shows how long it takes to reach each gate and the direction you need to go to get there. Anyway, I made it to our gate, and whilst I was watching this Myanmar Airways plane, our plane for today just happened to appear out of nowhere. What are the chances? And some more perfect timing, that's another Cathay Pacific plane taking off in the background as ours parks at the gate. Today we're flying on an 18-year-old Airbus A330-300 with 262 seats in total, 223 of which are in economy class. And the Airbus A330 is really the workhorse of Cathay's short-haul fleet, with them operating 43 in total, making them the largest operator of the type in the whole world. And as these old planes age out, they'll eventually be replaced with the much newer A330neo. It was soon my turn to board, and whilst walking down the jet bridge, another Cathay A330 was pulling up alongside, showing just how many flights they do to Bangkok. Now before we step on board, here are the stats and route map for today's flight, where a 40-minute late departure would see us land 20 minutes late in Hong Kong, and all the pilot said about the delay was that it was due to Chinese airspace restrictions, which I'm slightly dubious of, as I feel like every flight I've ever taken in or around China has said the same thing. But in any case, here's the plane cabin, and as someone who always sits by the window, the A330 is probably my favourite plane to fly thanks to its 2-4-2 layout. I chose seat 61A here, which was free to select, and the thing I like about this plane is I only have to climb over one person to reach the aisle, so it feels much less claustrophobic if you're in one of the window seats like I was today. Now looking at the seat itself, legroom is good with 32 inches of seat pitch, much better than the 29 or 30 inches you'll see on most narrow-body aircraft, and it has a nifty folding tray table too, which folds out like this. Then a small storage shelf just above that, and a little drink holder so you can have a drink without needing the table down. The screen is pretty small at 9 inches, which is maybe one of the most noticeable flaws of this slightly dated cabin. And as you'll see shortly, the touchscreen is pretty laggy, but it's still perfectly usable. Another noticeable thing is that the seat back is actually quite short. I'm only 5'6", and you can see my head pokes above the headrest, so taller people would probably need to crank the headrest all the way up just to be comfortable. The headphones, meanwhile, are some of the best I've used in economy, and also the crew went through the cabin offering blankets, but I didn't bother since it was only a 2-hour flight. And the seat back pocket has plenty of little storage pouches, so very convenient. Now for the TV, it has Cathay Pacific's award-winning IFE System with a really good selection of movies, TV and games. In fact, it was rated the best entertainment system in the world by Skytrax in 2025. However, on the A330 the TV is a bit too old to run it properly, so you can see here it's just a bit slow and laggy. Not an issue on their newer planes, but here it is quite noticeable, especially coupled with the smallish screen. We started pushing back about 30 minutes behind schedule and the safety video started playing, so here's that. One of the better safety videos I've actually seen, and shows a nice bit of Hong Kong culture too.
Welcome aboard Cathay Pacific.
歡迎乘搭國泰航空。
Your safety is important to us, so please take a few minutes to watch the following video, as replays are switched off or set to airplane mode. Bluetooth and Wi-Fi function can be used throughout the flight. Use of radios and transmitters is not. You can place any small items underneath the seat in front of you.
你可以將細件物品放喺前面嘅座位下。
And just as importantly,
最後祝各位旅途愉快。
enjoy the journey.
Now getting ready for takeoff, the sun was just about to set, which made for some very scenic views. So stay tuned for that, coming up in a second. Despite being a short 2.5 hour flight, this is Asia we're flying in, so of course we had a full meal service. I can't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure this was pork noodles with warm bread, a fruit bowl and their signature Haagen-Dazs ice cream on the side. Everything was good and it was just a solid service for a short haul flight. Plus you get actual metal cutlery and Haagen-Dazs ice cream is a premium touch too. There's also an in-flight magazine with some interesting articles in both Chinese and English, especially this one about the cats of Hong Kong. And speaking of cats, here's mine, and he would love it if you liked and subscribed to support the channel and help fund his ice cream addiction. Back to the magazine note, it has a cool route map, which I always love to see, and they have a bit about their fleet, which I amusingly noticed already includes the 777X, even though it's been delayed for years with no end in sight. Last of all, as we approach Hong Kong for landing, they do have in-flight Wi-Fi, but you have to pay for it, so I didn't bother. Worth noting that business, first and diamond status passengers get it for free though. Anyway, here's the landing in a dark but somewhat light polluted Hong Kong. Also, I noticed as we were landing this massive gap in fencing and lighting around the runway, and that was actually due to the Air ACT Boeing 747, which had crashed into the sea just 2 weeks before this flight. And I guess they hadn't rebuilt the fence at this point, so you could still see the big gap. So as we disembark the plane, it's time for my final thoughts. Cathay Pacific just offer a very solid short-haul experience on their Airbus A330, and it might not be as snazzy and modern as their A321neo or A350, but it's comfortable and the in-flight service is top-notch. The price was very competitive too, being about 20% cheaper than similar time with Thai Airways, and similar to the budget airlines like Hong Kong Express when you factor in things like food, seat selection and baggage. So I'll just give them a solid 80% score across the board, and on my airline tier list they keep their spot as a 10 out of 10 airline in my opinion. Mainly because in the past I've had some really good experiences with them, and even though this flight wasn't perfect, it was still very solid for a short haul flight. Now if you want to see something that was a 10 out of 10 experience, then check out the flight I took after this one, a 14-hour flight from Hong Kong to London in an Airbus A330 1000 economy class, which was just an exceptional flight in every way. I'll also have reviews of Oman Air, Jet2, Air Europa, and Air France to name a few coming in the next few weeks, so subscribe to keep up to date with that. Like and leave a comment if you enjoyed the video. Thanks a lot for watching, and goodbye.